And we are back, you guys, with the season 3 finale of Buddha Bear Talks, the podcast, season 3. As you know, you all shall know, we're going to give you the bit of a story, what happens to that amazing young man, what happened, where we left off. He left North Carolina after all his bullying, where he went through high school, after graduation, all the way through college, figuring out what he wanted to do with his life and all the exactly fuckery what he went through. But now I'm gonna fast forward it until when he arrived to New York with Brittany G. With his which she now got into the family and stuff, got adopted by his mom. In the beginning of this, when he first came to New York, he was excited, but at the same time, he had a bad gut feeling what was going on because what had happened between his cousin and Brittany G, because she did something prior before coming to New York, which was I think she stole money from the cousin and kind of like moved out and stuff and kind of got in cahoots with my mom and well, his mom and stuff. So on top of that, when he got in, it was very rough. It was a very rocky start. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It was a rocky start for him. He landed a job at the end of the first month of June. He worked at Dwayne Reed. This is June of 2007, and he worked full time all the way through, got union benefits and all, while trying to figure out what he really wanted to do. He wanted to go to culinary school as I mentioned, he wanted to do culinary, do pastry arts, because he always loved being in the kitchen to have his own business. So he was going to work to save up money just for that and going to school, which he did. But during those months before he got in, it was just a lot of emotional abuse at home what he was going through. It was really briefly affecting him while working there because sometimes his manager and his coworkers would kind of like got worried, like, "Hey, why you're so quiet?" And then he would just be like, "Hey, I'm just being minding my business, just laying low." Um, he have good days, he have his bad days, and fast forward, he got into trade school in culinary for pastry arts. He did really, really well. And I think that's where it began with the emotional, verbal abuse and stuff from not just his mother, but then from Brittany G, his adopted sister at the time. And it got really bad to the point where it almost got into a physical altercation. And this is when his friend, his best friend from North Carolina, them hadn't spoken. This is when they disconnected at that time after North being in New Bern High and stuff. So from 2007 all the way to '08, I think during the summer of '08 he graduated out of his class. Um, yes, he went through a lot of verbal abuse. His mom would tell his sister, would tell Brittany G, her new adopted daughter, everything about this individual, about him, and say, "Hey, he doesn't do nothing. He's always lazy. Mind you, he's paying rent, as I say, like he's paying rent to her and helping her pay the bills. So how can you sit there and tell an individual that he's lazy and he's working a full-time job and going to school?" So that's what kind of like rung in his head, which didn't make no sense. And it was always a fight and an argument between Brittany G and him. It was always verbal, emotional abuse at home. She said, "You don't do a goddamn thing. I'm always at home cooking." Remind you, he's barely home. He's going to school and going to work. So how do you think he's going to be at home? Mind you, Brittany G, she used to work at Mac, literally 20 minutes away from the house. She gets paid every week. Yeah. Work at Mac, one of the top makeup places, and she's a bomb ass makeup artist. Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was to the point it was so bad at home that it was almost physical altercation. I'm surprised none of it happened. I'm surprised it didn't happen. I was even super surprised. Um, but the abuse with his mom was like how like it was so bad. Like she would like yell at him. Like if you wasn't cleaning or whatever, like if you was trying to take a shower, you couldn't take a shower too long because she was like, you're gonna run up the water bill. It was that bad. It was really bad. It was like, damn,
Have you been to North Carolina where the humidity is just the humidity?
picture New York. Back in New York, it just is fucked up. It's just as hot. Just as worse as North Carolina.
The humidity.
It's a bitch. Even during the wintertime, it be freezing as fuck. It won't be summer until like mainly May. And then
No.
that's when it started getting nice. That's how it is.
No snow. Only snow.
Oh boy, it's snow up here. It snowed a few times up here. But he went to culinary, graduated top of his class 4.0. He was part of alumni, and still juggled a full-time job. So you can kind of say he was a badass in his own wonderful way.
He was.
He was a badass. He did what he's supposed to do. Um, they was mad at him because they wanted him to get his driver's license so bad. But the thing was this, he left North Carolina, and when he got up to New York, it was easier to get your driver's license up here because you don't need your insurance. You just got to take the test, take driving school, take the driving test, and then you're done. And remind you, he left money back with his grandma, and he called his grandma wanted to check see how he was doing, and he asked her, "Hey, can I have the money?" Because he saved up at least over $400 to do this. There was enough to get his license, but do what his mother told him what to do. And his grandma said, no, no. She kept the money for herself. So that was the most shady, fucked up thing about it. And that's what he learned. That was the first and last time he ever spoken to her.
Family will fuck you worse than anybody else.
Oh yes, it sure will. That's a living example.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to literally start all over. And I think the reason why his mother was mad at him because she had city jobs and stuff lined up for him, but he already knew what he wanted to do. He didn't want to do what his mom was doing. He wanted to follow his own path. And I think that's where all that anger stuff started from. Where it originated. Because you got to understand something too. He's a grown ass. He's in his early 20s. He's figuring himself out. He wanted to find his own path. He didn't want to disappoint nobody. And the mother was already talking shit to the family about how he was not getting it together and stuff. So fast forward, it got really bad at home. I think a few months passed, like around close to two. We fast forward to 2009. It was really that bad, and this is when it took a turn for the worse. Um, Brittany G and him had a conversation and stuff, and they was watching Harry Potter. He'll never forget it. They was watching a Harry Potter movie. Everything was all fine at home, all dandy. And I think the next day she decided to like pack her bags and move out. She was like, I can't take it no more. She said, the way how you've been treated, because she kind of found out something about what was going on at home that either he wasn't aware that when he wasn't home as much, and she found out something. I don't know what for. I don't know what caused her to move out, but She's like, oh, there were times it was like bad arguments here and there. She was to the point she said, oh, you just want this house for yourself. And he was like, I don't want this house for myself. I want my own space. This has nothing to do with me. It was more like she wanted the place for herself. Because sometimes she will bring bring one boy into the apartment.
Woo-woo.
If you want to keep it 1,000. And he had a little boo and the guy had a little boo thing at the time, like long distance. But that's just
Woo-woo.
And trust me, I've heard things, and that's all I need to know. That's all we need to hear about. But yeah, it was interesting because she was like, you can. She's like, this was it was one of the arguments that she said to him. She said, yo, I don't like it that you pay bills and pay rent in the house. You can't bring your own guests over. People fail to realize, understand that's the mother's house. She don't like a lot of folks in and out of her crib. That's her castle. That's her castle. And I understood that wholeheartedly. As long as I went out and do what I wanted to do, that's all that mattered to me. But he was more of a homebody. He played video games and stuff like normal. Like, come on, he goes to work. So bless you. But on top of that, she packed her wrapper duffel bags and left. She said, I can't take it no more. It's like they wasn't getting along. And I was like, all that yelling you did to him, you saying y'all don't get along, this is why y'all don't get along. He said, it is like we didn't get along, and I didn't like how your mom was treating you. And I'm like, I'm out. She said, I already spoke to my biological dad, what's going on. Mind you, her dad was still alive, I think, still alive now. And she just kind of like moved out and alongside took her money too. She took over $2,000, enough to pay the mortgage for her house at the time, for his mother's house at the time. Okay, it was his rent money and her rent money put together alongside. Yeah,
Ooh,
she stole money from her. Stole money from her and got away with it. Well, and that's when, and then when his mother came up, that's when it took a turn for the worse. All the yelling stuff began. Why this house ain't clean? Why this ain't that? Mind you, he tries his absolute hardest to keep it clean. It wasn't clean up to her standards.
I've been there.
Yeah, it wasn't up to her standards. And that continued on for the next few. That's when he was already entered into the practice, and he found his outlet to find peace within himself, finding who he is, accepting all of who he is for who he is. And he just wanted an outlet to get away from everything and learn about the Buddhist practice that he was in. A lot of people from Duane Reade were introduced him. And he kept the card and found the culture center. It was literally up the block from where he worked at.
That's awesome.
Yep. And that's when it all took place from there. And then I think from 2009 all the way to 2013, middle 2014, that's when it took another turn for the worse. It was his mother and him got into a bad argument so bad because he was out learning about the Buddhist practice, and his mother kicked him out. Yeah, kicked him out. And he stayed in Jersey for a bit with one of his peoples just for a little bit, and then he moved to the Bronx. At this time, he stopped. He wasn't working at Duane Reade anymore. He was working at Pret A Manger, and he was a new team member. He was about to be a barista, I think. He just got the position. He got promoted, And that's when things went kind of crazy for him. Um, he stayed in the Bronx for a little while. There are times where he was broke because he had to pay his phone bill and stuff. Because when you're working when you get paid weekly, you get like a small $400 something check. It ain't a lot, but it's something better than nothing. There are times his mom took advantage of him, so there were times he was broke. Even when he still paid rent, gave him all the money, she still wasn't satisfied. He was broke. So when he was out in the street, um, he had to he had to use his body. He had to have a lot of sex for men, sex for money to or to feed himself, and to also pay some of his bills as well. He had to do what he had to do. Um, this is something his mother doesn't know to this very day, nor his family, because the mother was telling the family all about how he was this bad person. Oh, he needed to get it together. All this, that, and the third. But yeah, there were times he wasn't comfortable doing it. He used safe sex. He always got tested and always got checked, but he had to do what he had to do. There were times he had sex with over, I think, what, maybe three, four guys. Um, some of them, some of them he kind of they were strangers, and some of them he kind of did sincerely knew from the job. I think one person he met was from the job, not from the job, but was one of his customers. I meant to say. Hmm. And when they met, he was like, "What the hell are you doing here? Like, what you doing here?" I said, "I'm just doing this to get a little money in my pocket." He's like, we not he, and I think he was on the low too. He was on the low too as well, but it was kind of like God in the universe was kind of looking out for him, and he was like, "You shouldn't be out here doing this." He's like, "You shouldn't be out here using your body." I said, "I have to, because if I don't, my he's like, my mom kicked me out. I'm still working, but I still need more extra money because the jobs he tried to apply to as well wouldn't work with his prep schedule. So that's what led him to do what he had to do. Trust me, he felt embarrassed. He felt ashamed, but he had to do what he had to do. Um, Even though he wore protection and everything, but the guy was so sweet to him. He says, "No, we're not going to do this." He said, "No, I'm going to take you home. I'm going to take you back to the apartment where you're staying at. I'm going to buy you some food." He bought him food. He said, "I want you to." She's like, "I'm." He's like, "I'm so sorry this happened to you." He said, "Someone that's so kind and so gentle, you don't deserve that."
And you don't.
And
No.
um, with that, even though he had to do it a few more times, he felt disgusted because this is what he had to do to survive. And now this is also why I can't speak for every LGBTQ person, but that person under I kind of like, from my opinion, I understand it. I understand wholeheartedly. I'm not judging or nothing. I understand wholeheartedly what you do, what you got to do. I understand how the trans women do it. He understood it to the T. I understand. I even understand it. Understood because they understand what they did, what they had to do. And he had a glimpse, like he was like, "If I don't stop doing this, I'll get hurt." And there were some down low guys that he did mess with, and they had to do it. He went to their apartment, and they would do it like that, and he would get fed, and they'll pay him a little bit, but hey, he said help him pay his metro car a little bit for his haircut and stuff, and that was it. But he didn't do it too long until he started living in Harlem, and that's when he kind of stayed away from it a little bit, but he still did it a little here and there. He told his manager, I think the manager didn't know what was going on, but the manager knew that he got kicked out from his mother's house, and he looked out for him and made sure he had hours and stuff. So that's when he gave him some overtime and stayed and tried to make sure that he got promoted to being a barista so he can get all the tips in the mystery shopper. That's how he was getting the bonus monies and stuff every week. So that was what kind of helped him through. Not even his dance crew knew what was going on. No one knew. Not even his family, not his aunt, not his cousins, not nobody. And he lived with that shame for a while because he felt like no one was ever gonna love another man was ever gonna love him ever again because he had to do what he had to do. And so he remained single. Um he still enjoyed the practice. He still stayed with the dance group. Is pretty much the dance group saved his life too because it kept him out of nonsense. It kept him focused. He needed a bit of a distraction what was really going on, and he kept it going until I think I think he did that for three and a half next three almost 3 years. Yeah, because from 2013, 14, 15, early 2016, he would his mother asked him to come back home. And when the mom at when he gladly took the thing because he was staying with Mr. J and his father in Harlem at the time. God rest his soul. They looked out for him and they made sure he stocked up his money. Where he was saying at the time he was only paying $60 a month and taught him how to save money. Something he wasn't learned from his own house. So he gained a new perspective. And when him and his mother reunited, came back home to Brooklyn, the mother had the audacity to tell him, "Did you learn your lesson?" And he said, "What lesson?" Remind you, the boy was kicked out of stupid shit. You kept him out of pettiness. What was the lesson for? He wasn't falling behind nobody. He didn't do drugs. He was basically learning about the Buddhist practice. What lesson were you trying to teach him?
What was the answer?
Hmm.
What was the answer?
He told him, I said, I didn't learn shit from I said, I didn't learn shit from you. I was trying to get away from you. That's what he said to her. I was trying to get away from you. Like she was evil. She was evil. Like how could a parent kick a kid out for being who he is? He's already gone through enough at home and gone through enough at work. And you got people at work yelling at him like he's someone's mother, slave and shit. Like, nah, mm-mm. People at that time, they want to yell at him so bad. There were times he wanted to shoot up the whole damn restaurant one damn time. He said, yeah, that's how he felt. Talking about, oh, you always starting drama, you always this. They always do some homophobic slurs type of shit because half the damn time they ain't securing their own sexuality.
That part.
When people do that dumb shit, they're not securing their own sexuality. I don't care how straight you are. You giving cuntiness, bitch. You're giving cuntiness. You're insecure with your own sexuality. All the straight men that I've ever known and met are secure in their stuff. And they don't give a toot. They're very protective of their gay brothers and sisters anyway. And the ones that are homophobic are the main ones that are gay. If you don't like what I say, then that's on you. The shoe fits. I'm not here to sugarcoat nothing in this episode. Y'all need to learn y'all lesson. After all the murders that's going on, after this recent murder, y'all, this gotta stop. It has to stop. When enough is enough. When you gonna stop using the Bible to justify your own hate? This is what, like T.S. Mann said, and I believe it whole. I was saying it myself after all these years. Religion is the downfall of black folk, not just black folk. I ain't not just for black folk, but for the organization of the situation is the downfall of all of us. I ain't say relationship with God. Don't twist my words. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, I took reading comprehension in high school. Learn to use it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Because they try to
I
twist.
think it's a downfall of a lot of humanity.
Yeah, it is.
And how we think of each other as people and how we think of each other as, you know, we don't have diversity. Nobody's happy. And I think it's stupid.
It's like everybody has to be the same quota.
Yeah,
And
I'm not
that's
doing
not how
that.
life is.
I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that either.
I'm not doing that.
No, we're not doing that. But this is the example. Y'all talking about, oh, this is wrong. This is humanity. God, you are not God. Once you get that into your head, you are not God, things will go so smoothly. People don't want to do that. They want to be unhappy. They want to be hypocritical. They want to mock you. Feel free to mock me. You ain't mocking me. You just find it inevitable with yourself. So you ain't hurting my feelings, boo. It's the truth. The truth hurt, don't it? Y'all go to church every Sunday and don't recite the dang on Bible, and still you have 10, 20,000 girlfriends humping at home. Please make that make sense to me.
Woo-woo.
Nah, I'm gonna let it all out. All you hypocrite, homophobic son of a guns. You're the one that can't sleep at night because you're scared. This is who you are. It's time to be who you are. Stop using that chick for who you are, sleeping in bed. Just because getting pussy doesn't make you no man. It never did. It's time to get that mentality out your head. Getting the JJ doesn't make you a man at all.
Treating somebody with respect does.
Hello. You don't like what I say in the comment? I want you to comment on this, because that's half the why people getting murdered to this day. Not to be off topic, but Mr. O'Shea got murdered he was well-known Avon Ailey. He was voguing to Beyonce's song, got murdered in Brooklyn at a gas station. A 17-year-old murdered him for voguing. I said, are we serious now? This is what I was saying. Religion is the downfall of all, like you said, Lauren, the downfall of all humanity, and we're just falling right into it. Religion is supposed to help bring us together, not
saying that you shouldn't believe in a higher power.
Yeah,
I'm saying that you should not basically push your
agenda
that on someone else. You know, so I mean, some people will sit there and debate, and I'm not saying I'm lost. But yeah,
they would do that.
And it's more of the simple fact that they're just not accepting of other sexualities. What does sexuality have to do with church? It doesn't. That's where I'm at. Like, where does sexuality fall in church? We're supposed to love everybody, regardless of sexuality.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to still figure out, it's not really the downfall of humanity, but it is, because God made a perfect world to be destroyed. But the whole point of the fact is we're supposed to love each other. And they're doing too much.
Way too much, baby. Way too much. But then back on topic, but I had to get that off my chest. It angered me. It just angers me. And it brought back when he said it to his mother, like when the mom said that to him, did you learn your lesson?
I would have definitely wanted a whole description of what that was. That's what I would want. Because if you knew you were doing everything in your power and everything to your best of your ability to do what you wanted to do in life, because you think about it, chefs can make it in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Try being a chef in North Carolina. No.
Listen, unless you're in the
You won't even make it to the 5% of population of decent, like well-known chefs in North Carolina. I'm a chef,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, really, out of all honesty, if you were doing all those things, there's nothing to be ashamed of.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing in it. Even though you should have called me, you would have not had to sell nothing but ice to Eskimos. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you wouldn't have had to sell that. But I'm just saying, like, don't be ashamed of feeding yourself.
Yeah, and then that's when
But you know, it's not a way to go.
it's not.
It wasn't the way to go, period.
Mm-mm.
But at the same time, having fear contacting somebody to let them know what you're having to do to feed yourself is very much a humiliation.
Mm-hmm. And
That's
it's like on top of that, after that conversation, he felt that relationship between him and his mom was like broken. It was like broken
it is.
into shattered pieces. And he go home, do what he need to do, just to avoid her at all costs. That's what he did for the remainder during the rest of the time, even all the way through the pandemic. Like he trapped like with the dance group. It literally saved his life. Like he been to California for competition. He won. He came back. He performed all over New York City. He excelled at Pret. He was getting mystery shopper bonuses all the time, while some of his other old coworkers were mad jealous of him a little bit. Some were hating, some were just homophobic as fuck, but he still kept it pushing. He still went being active in the gym. He did all that in a can of paint all up to 2019, 2020. Yeah, that's when COVID hit. And and while he was doing that in Starbucks too. So, yeah, he worked at Starbucks as well. And then on top of that, that was short lived with Starbucks. And then COVID happened and he went back to Pret. While back at Pret, he got rehired. And that's when COVID went down and the rest was kind of like, here's you on top of it. But he learned so much through that. During even the time where we were all on lockdown, he learned. He looked back on all the things what he went through his life, and he's like, "Do I want to go through this after this shit is over with?" And it's like I learned. He worked so damn hard. He overworked his body. This is the first year he ever had off. While collecting unemployment, he had a whole year off.
You needed that year off. Whoever he is, he needed that year off. That person needed to focus on them.
And he was focused on him.
Yeah, most people don't think they have to forgive themselves for what they had to do for themselves.
Yeah, he never got.
You have to forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardest part is forgiving somebody that did you wrong, just so you can forgive yourself.
Say it again, bitch. Say it again,
But I can tell you this right now: you will never forget it. But learn from it not to go back to that person.
Mm-hmm.
Because you always got to remember, history will rewrite itself sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the scary part about it, is going back into that.
Yeah, that's the most scariest thing.
But that year, you needed that year to cleanse yourself of any of it. You needed that year.
Mm-hmm.
You needed that year to sit there and grovel in your pain for a little bit and get yourself back up and know what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Most people need that.
Yeah, he realized a lot.
And the bad part is some people don't have the luxury of being able to sit in that pain and be able to fix it on their own. They, especially if they have kids or anything like that. They don't get to they have to get up and pretend like it doesn't hurt every day.
Like to put a band on a wound.
Yeah, they can't sit. They can't sit down and just let me hurt for a minute. Let me get over it for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, but you, this person needed a year.
Uh-huh.
This person needed a year. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. And he didn't have his best friend to contact at the time because they lost communication.
Mm,
So he was even kind of ashamed too. He didn't want to tell her what was going on because I think he was scared that she would disown him or whatever in a
mm,
friendship or whatever. But that was his kind of fear of it until like that happened. And then I think in 2021 he started work. I think they let him go. They let him go from Pret because they laid everybody off. He was a rehire. They laid everybody off. They even laid him off, and he started working at NYU at the hospital for a couple of years. And yeah, fed patients. He worked right in the middle of the pandemic, and he's seen death all around him to the point he was numb around it.
I've been there
Mhm.
personally. I've been there personally.
And
I was working as a mobile phlebotomist, and
mm,
I would go into COVID units and rest homes and COVID swab. I was one of 6 COVID swabbers,
mhm.
and I would go into these for this one company, and I was one of 6. They asked me to do it. There were 6 of us, and it was just, you go to draw somebody's blood, and the beeper goes off, and you think you did something wrong, and really it was just their time to go.
Mm,
That is nasty. I Yeah.
mhm. Oh yeah. I had to literally like he had to literally like give out trays, and the nurses would sometimes tell him like, "Mm-mm, she didn't make it, baby." And that was the first time he kind of like, "Oh wow." And the ladies like, "You get used to it around here. You see death all around." And he um he rocked it all out and everything until like he started thinking back in himself. He's like, "Oh my God, I wanted to be a flight attendant." He still had dreams of becoming one. He just wanted to see the world because I think he after COVID and working in the hospital, it makes you rethink back on life. Like, wow, I didn't really do what made me happy. I'd be like, hey, I was just doing this because my mom told me XYZ, and I just wanted to be an entrepreneur, and that's what he wanted to really do, really, really do. So he tried that because he stayed at NYU for like a whole year and a half, and then he went and tried JetBlue. That's where he felt the most at home. Um, Before that even happened, like he landed, we went to the interview of it and landed the job. But then on top of that as well, he found out he was about to land his first apartment in the Bronx. With the rent after all his chants in Daimoku and everything. Daimoku was chanting Nami Horengeko over and over a few times that I mentioned in the podcast. Um he landed he was asked about apartment. He went and checked it out, got all his paperwork together, got his credit checked and everything. Um he visited the site. He loved it. Nice, good studio with the view of Manhattan looking on the rear view from the Bronx. Rent was $550 a month. And yes, he gladly accepted it and signed his first lease. And that was his best birthday present ever. And he signed his lease August 23rd of 2022. Yep. Told his mom, hey, yo, mom, I'm out. This is my apartment. I'm doing it. And she understood.
That's good.
She understood. She let him save his money and everything. And once he got in, the rest was history. And now to this day, he's doing really well. His entrepreneurship is growing really well. He works at a new hospital. Um, he's worked 2, 3 days out the week. He gets paid every week. And he has amazing building managers and that helps him out make sure everything's all good. Reconnected with his best friend in the whole wide world and just pretty much life has been wonderful. Even though he lost his second mom, he misses her so much. And if she was still around, she would have been super damn fucking proud of him. She's still proud of him to this day, even though she's looking down in her own weird, funny way. And that's pretty much how, and still rocking it all out. And to all those people that wonder, who is the guy? Who's the guy we're talking about? Could you take a guess? That guy was me. That guy was me. And the best friend, she's standing right next in the next screen, right next to you.
Holy.
Now, you wonder why we told this story. Because I want my audience and guys to connect with me and give support as much as they can. I wanted to support as much as I can and have people to understand, to connect with them and say, hey, I went through what you went through. I am part of the LGBTQI community. With this doggone microphone going crazy. But I want them to know like I had to use everything I went through was for real. I went through a lot. Not even my family knows till this day. Not even my mom. Only Lauren knows the whole story about what I went through. And as hard as it sounds, I have to tell you, like, when you got to do what you got to do, trust me, I felt embarrassed. I was ashamed. But I had to do what I had to do. I had to use my body to feed myself.
Women use their body all the time. Think about it this way. A woman can't feed her kids, so she goes to be as a part-time stripper in a different county than she lives, so nobody knows who she is.
Mm-hmm.
I know you were doing it differently on a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm.
But what separates, you from them is nothing really. And don't take that the wrong way. I'm just saying, like, as in they're doing what they have to do too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly.
It's the same thing.
I mean, there was times I thought I was going to have to go be a stripper.
Shit. Shoo. I ain't mean to curse, but shoo. I'm just like, yo.
Actually, believe it or not, I just couldn't. I was too self-conscious of myself. And I know it's a psychology. I was too self-conscious of myself to try it. There's just no way.
Mm-hmm.
No.
But
it's not for everybody. But if I was in your situation, I probably would have had to.
Mm-hmm.
You have to stay until somebody can step foot inside of your shoes, Ray. They cannot say they are perfect.
They sure can't. And
unless you can step foot in somebody else's shoes, you ain't shit.
Mm-hmm. And there's people that try to mock me.
Yep.
How do you feel now?
Mm.
How do you feel now? Because there were people that was mocking me. I don't give a toot. Let them mock. They would never be in my shoes.
You have to let people watch you grow.
And I love it.
I don't block anybody. I let them watch.
And I don't block nobody either. I just laugh. And I just say, hey, this is my girl. Look how far I've come. Like, look.
You should look at how far you come and understand through explaining your story how far you've actually came.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't look back at their story and actually see how far they come, because if you keep looking at your life in the rearview mirror of the car, you're going to run into somebody. Mm-hmm. So please stop. Just keep going forward.
Keep moving forward.
But in order to heal, you got to look back every now and then and heal from it and forgive it. Forgive yourself and keep going.
And that was one of my challenging moments, was forgiving myself.
Yeah. And most of the time, I mean, it's still hard to forgive myself for certain things that I bring up in my, like, I'll bring up and be like, I need to forgive myself for that.
Mm-hmm.
But the process of forgiving yourself is actually sitting down and being quiet and actually, literally, genuinely self love.
Yep,
It's
yep.
easier to tell an asshole that you love them than it is to look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. Make no darn sense. Because it's awkward
Mm-hmm.
for people. It used to be awkward for me to do that. I don't know why it
Same.
was so awkward to do that. It's like you're telling yourself you love yourself.
Mm,
The only one that can love you more is you.
Shaba.
Yeah.
But I want people to understand, even people in the LGBTQ community, saying that, hey, yo, I understand. I understood. You don't got to explain anything to me. I
Well,
understood.
there's probably also female and others that are
And
that are in that situation that need to
yeah,
hear it.
y'all need to hear there is a way out. There is a way out. I'm living proof of it. And I don't want, and this also just help other people make sure they don't go through what I went through, but learn from it as well. That's the more of the story, because there was moments where back a few episodes back in the podcast and overcoming trauma, I would touch upon a situation, but I didn't go in depth. So this time around, I want to go in depth so you guys can get the full circle story. Like, oh wow, this is what he really meant. This is what he went through. He went through X, Y, Z. Holy crap, I didn't know that. Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that. Not my Buddhist family, not my old co-workers, not
Not me
nobody.
for a long time.
Hmm.
Not even me.
Not even her.
But he would have been living with me. So just so y'all know.
Yeah,
All
she
he had to
would
do
have
was
did
pick
that.
up the phone. I don't care if it was NC. He would have been trucking his happy ass down here. He wouldn't have had to worry about shit. I don't care if it was North Carolina. You give a damn.
Yeah, because I was ashamed to tell you what happened, but I was like, nah, let me just tell her, and she'll
But I
understand.
want to ask you a question on that.
What's up?
I want you to think about this a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm. When did I judge you when you were in school? So that shit, I know you did not think about it at the time because at the time you're in a panic mode, fight or flight mode. I understood that.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think if you had picked up the phone and said, Lauren, I need help. I'm prostituting myself out. I don't have nowhere to go. You don't think I would have drove my happy butt up there to come get you and give you a place to stay? It may have been here, but I didn't judge you then. The only thing I'm judging is whooping your ass when I get there for not telling me sooner.
Oh shit. Oh,
That's all I
shit.
would have been doing. I've been like, what in the hell?
What in the fuck are
You
you
could have
doing?
been feeding yourself. You did not have to do all this. This is extra. Why are you being extra for? Like, you extra asshole.
Yeah, because yo, I was just like, oh my God, Lauren be like, why you didn't call me? I ain't
Yep,
have
that's
her.
exactly what I would have been like. I would have been like, I'll be there by tomorrow.
Yeah, you would have been here the next day.
I would not have waited. I would have been like, I'll be there by tomorrow. Whatever you got, pack what you can, and you coming down south for a little while until you get on your feet, and then you can go back. But right now, you got to come with me. That's
Mhm.
exactly what I would have done. I've been like, you can go back, but not until you can provide for yourself for right now.
Mhm.
That would have been my deal with you.
Mhm.
You know, that's just the way I
Yeah,
felt about it. But if
but
I didn't judge you in school, do you think picking up that phone, I would have judged you? I probably would have cried and been in the car and been mad and been like, you are coming home. Lauren, no. Yeah, I'd be damn. Location.
you've been crying and pissed. You be like,
I would have been crying mad. I would have been crying mad that you were in that situation, and I didn't know. That's where I would have been.
I think I know my grandma them didn't know. They're going to be like, what? Yeah. Oof. I know grandma and my aunts, because one of my favorite aunts down south was like, "You're doing so good." Like she encouraged me a lot. Like she encouraged me a lot, and she was like, "Nah, don't come down south," because I think she was trying to tell me down south was getting bad at the time with all the drugs. And then when you started telling me about it, I was like, "Oh shit, it's true."
It's true, but the thing of the matter is, I keep my circle small. So honestly, I don't hear about it except on the news, and that's why I don't even watch it because I don't even got time for that. I like my peace, and I be darned if I'm gonna listen to. I just don't listen to politics. I don't care about it. Main reason being is because in fact the world's gonna work the way it wants to, and I'm not gonna stress myself out over any of it.
Facts.
It's not really that the fact that I don't care about humanity or other things or politics. They have a brain until they get into the U.S. Senate anyway. They were born with one, but when they get there, it's like they lost that.
Oh yeah.
I heard a politician say that one time on TikTok, and I was like, yes. I forgot his name. I wish I could remember his name, but I saw that on TikTok one time, and I about fell out laughing.
But yeah, I just wanted to tell everyone, like, honey, obstacles have no discrimination either. Always be mindful of it.
Yeah.
Because people were talking junk about, oh, I did this as something, honey. Some of these folks, parents pay their child their rent in New York City and stuff. And I said, they got it good. They got it good. Y'all got it blessed. You all guys are blessed. I had some of my Buddhist dance people, they were like, their parents, they make dough. And most of them were Japanese and stuff. And I'm just like, come on. Y'all went to college. Y'all knew exactly what y'all wanted to do. Y'all went for dancing. That's cool. I wanted to go to school for performing arts and stuff like that. But look what life trajectory put me through. I said, hey, look, I still was part of a dance group and still performed.
So what part of a university did you need to dance? I was a dancer for 13 years.
It was a bunch of colleges up here.
I know. I was going to go to the Gallery of the Arts. I think
it was one of Marymount College. Beside you, it was on Marymount. They have Juilliard.
I'm going to tell you something about some of these dance schools, universities. Even though you would have loved to go on, is the hardest colleges you could go to is dancing universities or art universities like that, because they're going to dance the heck out of you. You got to have a passion. You got to like your feet to bleed when you do toe. I took toe, and my toes are crooked.
Yep.
I mean, and they bled. I took toe. I did all that, and I'm gonna tell you something. If you look at a ballerina's feet, that is some rough stuff.
I give them props.
Having to constantly work. You putting in some work. You'd be surprised of what those ballerinas put in to getting it right every single time, just to entertain somebody. And they're not very recognized like that. Ballet, tap, jazz, all of it is hours and hours and hours and hours and hours.
I was seeing one of my dance friends, like when they went to school and stuff. She would tell me the tea. She was like,
yes, it is oh my gosh. It is a competition on a position.
Yes, it is.
It is constant hell. It's constant hell.
I don't know how they did it.
Fights over this, fights over that. It was, I've heard horror stories about it. And if you got a passion for dancing, you go right on for it. But this ain't Channing Tatum movie with the dancing and
What
stuff.
Step Up? What
Yeah,
Step
that's
Up? That
it.
ain't the Step Up
That's it.
movie.
No.
Honey, I would say
No.
this. I think of it as making the band where Danity Kane, when Danity Kane was put together. I was like, oh
You're
my,
making it about yourself.
hell yeah.
Because you got to be quiet and just dance. And don't try to fit in
Mm-hmm.
there. Because it's drama all the time.
Oh yeah.
A new one comes in, oh, a newbie. It's like
You ain't told me nothing but damn going true.
like I said, you gotta love dance. I mean, they were not those people that were like that to you in dance were miserable in their own body because they had to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
They had to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that's that hateful, I mean, you can be the most beautiful person in the world and still be ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Be ugly.
Try being in a group where, mind you, you had no dance training, but you just got when you perform your heart out, it's this light about you.
Dance is all about emotion anyway. Have you seen some? I mean, I have seen the ugliest dances in the world that were they were top dollar to go see, and that was because it was a feel of expression.
Mm-hmm.
Dance is all about your emotion.
And honey, I was wearing my emotion on my sleeve when I was performing, and trust me, I guess that's how I kind of shine and just it let it out. And I wasn't trying to dim no one's light or nothing. It just everybody got drawn towards me. And I think that's how I started to understand how people started getting jealous of it. I was like, why the fuck are y'all jealous of me? Y'all the ones went to training for school and shit, doing what y'all love. I'm jealous of y'all. So I said that before, but people didn't want to
You
believe
should
it.
never be jealous of something you already possess, which is talent. Everybody has a talent. Everyone has one.
Yep, yep. And that's when, yeah, and that's pretty much my start. This help connect all my audiences. I hope this gives you a brighter side of things, like this to let you know that hey, you ain't alone. I went through it, and look at me now. Hey, I overcame it. I'm living proof, and I want you guys to win as well. This is just being all honest and everything. So this concludes the season 3 finale of Buddha Bear Talks the podcast. And is there a way I could tell them about the website?
Yeah, tell them about the website.
Yes. If you guys are, if you want to hook us up with a gig or anything, I made a website on motivation speaking. It's with me and Lauren. If you want to go, it's under raynonaka.wixsite. Let me see, where the hell is this dumb thingy? Now I want to make sure I don't give out the wrong information. Hold on, let me look at my phone. I just want to make sure we're good. I'm saying it right. Come on, phone. Help the kitty. Help the kitty. Help the kitty. Meow 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 meow. This I get like this all the time when I'm trying to really look for something.
You may want to spell it for them too.
Yeah, I got you. Rainonaka dot Wix.
Because do you know what it was like for me to find that? Because I sat here and was like saying it, and
Lord have mercy.
I felt so ignorant.
Don't feel bad. I'm looking for this damn thing now. I'm trying to see if I can pop it up on here. Let's see, because I'm chocolate chip for the honey dips. Yes, there we go. There we go. It's raynonaka.wixsite.com/trauma speaks. So it's Ray, RAYENON, .wixsite, WIXSITE.com/trauma speaks. Yes, we are going to be, if you want to book, if you want to help book, you want to book your wonderful appointment or tickets with us, that's your cue. So we could come to your nearest city. So we can do motivating speaking for you guys. I've been working on this website for like the past few months now.
He has put in the work. I've been putting in work myself.
Yes, we both have. And
I've been putting in some work. So, but we also have it to where you can book with both of us if you want to just
even
have
doing
I guess if you want to have a bitch talk,
yeah, bitch session.
a bitch session if you need one. We're here.
We're here. We're here to help you out. We're not licensed therapists. We're not.
No.
We're just keeping it real as it is, just being our human, loving, beautiful, loving selves. And yeah, so look on that website. Want you looky on there. raynonaka.wixsite.com /trauma speaks, and you will get all the tea. You can book a session with us, and we will be coming to a city soon near you.
And
Yes,
we will let you know when.
and we will let you know when, okay? So stay tuned for that. And until the next season, because the next time we come back together, season 4 will begin. So see you later for now. And until the next time, it's time to motivate. And always remember, be your wonderful, bright, loving, sweet, loving self with love and sunshine. And put powder in the Kit Kat too. But well, signing off, y'all. My name is Ray, and this is my buddy here, Lorman. Signing off, and this concludes the end of season 3 of Buddha Beer Talks, a podcast. Until next season, see you soon. Bye. Meow, 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 motherfucker.